I need you to hear something that most people in your life will never say to your face. There are specific things you are doing right now, today, this week, this month, that are mathematically guaranteeing that your financial situation will not improve. Not because you're unlucky. Not because the economy is against you. Not because you weren't born into the right family. But because of patterns. Repeated, predictable, invisible patterns that keep millions of people trapped in the same financial reality year after year, decade after decade, wondering why nothing ever changes no matter how hard they try. This video is not about making you feel bad. It is about making you see clearly. Because you cannot fix what you refuse to look at. And what I'm going to show you today are the exact behaviors, the ones nobody talks about directly, that separate people who gradually build financial security from people who stay stuck their entire lives. Some of these will be obvious. Some will surprise you. And at least one of them will make you uncomfortable in a way that tells you it's hitting exactly where it needs to hit. Stay with me until the end. Because the last one on this list is the one most people never see coming, and it might be the one that's been holding you back the longest. Let's start with the behavior that quietly destroys more financial futures than almost anything else. The habit of spending first and saving whatever is left over at the end of the month. This is how the vast majority of people operate. Money comes in, bills get paid, lifestyle gets funded, and then, if anything remains, maybe a little goes into savings. The problem is that at the end of most months, there is nothing left. Life expands to fill the money available, and the savings never actually happens. This isn't a willpower problem. It's a sequencing problem. The people who build wealth over time have reversed this entirely. They pay themselves first. Before the bills. Before the groceries. Before the entertainment. A percentage of every paycheck goes directly into savings or investments the moment it arrives, automatically, without negotiation, without waiting to see what's left. This single behavioral shift, paying yourself first instead of last, is one of the most powerful changes you can make in your financial life. It forces your lifestyle to adjust to what remains, instead of allowing your lifestyle to consume everything available. If you are currently saving what's left after spending, you are not saving. You are hoping. And hope is not a financial strategy. The sequence matters more than the amount. Start with 1% if that's all you can do. But reverse the order. Always pay yourself first. There is a specific kind of discomfort that keeps people poor, and it has nothing to do with not having enough money. It's the discomfort of looking at your financial reality directly, of opening the bank app and actually reading the numbers, of sitting down and adding up exactly how much debt you carry, of calculating how much your daily habits are costing you annually. Most people avoid this, not because they don't care, but because seeing the reality feels worse than not knowing. Ignorance feels safer than clarity. But here's what financial avoidance actually costs you. Every month you don't look at your numbers, the problem compounds quietly. Interest accumulates. Subscriptions you forgot about drain your account. Patterns you could fix if you saw them continue unchallenged. The discomfort of not knowing is always more expensive than the discomfort of knowing. People who build financial stability have developed the habit of radical financial honesty. They look at their accounts regularly, not to torture themselves, but because they understand that information is the foundation of every good decision. You cannot navigate toward a destination you refuse to look at on the map. Financial discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that you care enough to face reality, and that is exactly where change begins. The moment you stop avoiding the numbers is the moment the numbers start working for you. Here is one of the quietest and most devastating wealth killers in existence. Every time your income goes up, your spending goes up to match it almost immediately. New job, higher salary. Suddenly you need a nicer apartment, a newer car, better clothes, more frequent dinners out. This is called lifestyle inflation, And it is the reason so many people who earn significantly more money at 40 than they did at 25 have almost nothing to show for it financially. The raises happened. The promotions happened. The income grew. But the wealth never accumulated because every increase in earning was instantly absorbed by an increase in spending. The truly dangerous part of lifestyle inflation is that it feels completely justified in the moment. You earned the raise. You deserve to enjoy it. You worked hard for this. And none of that is wrong. Enjoying your income is not a moral failure. The problem is when 100% of every income increase goes to lifestyle upgrades and 0% goes to building assets. The formula that actually builds wealth is simple but requires discipline. Every time your income increases, increase your savings and investment rate first, before you increase your lifestyle spending. Even splitting an income increase 50-50 between lifestyle and savings is dramatically better than the default, which is spending all of it. Lifestyle can grow, but it should never grow faster than your net worth. Money and emotions are a dangerous combination. And yet, almost every financial decision most people make is driven primarily by emotion rather than logic. You buy the car because it makes you feel successful. You swipe the credit card because it relieves the stress of a hard week. You avoid investing because the market dropping makes you feel afraid and out of control. You overspend at the holidays because saying no to people you love feels unbearable. Emotional financial decisions are not random. They follow predictable patterns tied to specific feelings, and those patterns are extraordinarily expensive over a lifetime. Research consistently shows that emotional investors buy high and sell low, which is the exact opposite of what builds wealth. Emotional spenders accumulate possessions that depreciate while their savings stagnate. Emotional avoiders never start because starting feels overwhelming, so they wait for a feeling of readiness that never quite arrives. The solution is not to eliminate emotions from your financial life. That's impossible. The solution is to create systems that protect your financial decisions from your worst emotional moments. Automate your savings so fear and anxiety can't stop them. Implement a mandatory waiting period before any significant unplanned purchase. Create a written financial plan so that when emotions run high, you have a rational framework to return to. Discipline in finance is not about feeling motivated. It is about having structures that work even when your feelings don't cooperate. This one is uncomfortable, but it needs to be said directly. The people you spend the most time with have an enormous influence on your financial outcomes, often more than any book, course, or strategy you could ever apply. If your social circle normalizes debt, discourages investing, mocks people who budget, and pressures you into spending money you don't have to maintain a certain image, that environment is actively working against your financial progress. This doesn't mean you need to abandon your friends or family. But it does mean you need to be honest about the financial culture you are living inside, because culture is one of the most powerful behavioral forces that exists. When overspending is social, it becomes the default. When debt is normalized, it stops feeling dangerous. When nobody in your circle talks about investing or building assets, those things start to feel irrelevant or out of reach. Conversely, when you begin spending time, even virtually, with people who think differently about money, who talk about financial goals without embarrassment, who make building wealth a normal part of conversation, your own behavior shifts almost automatically. You don't have to find perfect people. You just need to be intentional about whose financial habits and beliefs you are absorbing. Because whether you realize it or not, you are always absorbing something from the people around you. A remarkable number of people go through their entire financial lives without ever setting a single specific financial goal. Not because they don't want financial security, but because nobody ever taught them that having a clear, written, specific financial target changes how you behave with money on a daily basis. Without a goal, every financial decision exists in a vacuum. Should you spend this money or save it? Should you take this trip or invest the funds? Without a target to measure against, there is no framework for answering those questions, so the default answer almost always becomes the one that feels good in the moment. With a goal, every decision has context. When you know that you are trying to save $15,000 for an emergency fund by the end of next year, that $200 impulse purchase looks completely different. It has a cost that is real and visible, not abstract. Financial goals do not have to be complicated. They need to be specific, they need a number attached, and they need a deadline. Not, I want to save more money, but I will have $10,000 in my savings account by December 31st of next year, and I will accomplish this by setting aside $830 per month. That level of specificity changes behavior. It creates accountability. It gives your brain a target to organize around. Without a destination, every road leads nowhere. And nowhere, financially speaking, is exactly where most people end up. One of the most persistent and damaging misconceptions in personal finance is the belief that a high income equals wealth. It does not. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep and grow. And the gap between those two things is where most high earners get completely lost. There are doctors, lawyers, and executives earning extraordinary salaries who have virtually no net worth because every dollar they earn flows directly out through an inflated lifestyle, high debt payments, and zero investment activity. And there are teachers, postal workers, and mid-level office employees who quietly accumulate significant wealth over decades because they live below their means, invest consistently, and let compounding do its work. The number on your paycheck does not determine your financial future. Your savings rate does. Your investment rate does. Your net worth trajectory does. High income is an advantage, a significant one, but it is not a guarantee of anything. History is full of high earners who retired broke and people with modest salaries who retired with genuine financial freedom. The question that actually predicts your financial future is not, how much do you make? It is, what percentage of what you make are you keeping and putting to work? If your income is going up, but your net worth is not, you don't have an income problem. You have a retention problem. And that problem is entirely solvable, but only once you stop confusing one number for the other. I'll start investing when the market stabilizes. I'll start saving when I pay off this debt. I'll start budgeting when things calm down at work. I'll figure out my finances when I have more time. The perfect moment is the most expensive myth in personal finance. Because the perfect moment never arrives. There is always a reason to wait. The market is always either too high, too volatile, or too uncertain. Life is always either too busy, too complicated, or too unstable. And every month spent waiting is a month of compounding interest, growing investments, and building habits that simply disappears and can never be recovered. The research on habit formation is clear. The best time to start a new financial behavior is always the present moment, regardless of conditions. Not because conditions don't matter, but because imperfect action taken today beats perfect action taken someday by a margin that cannot be overstated. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need the ideal financial plan. You don't need to wait until you're debt-free or earning more or feeling more confident. Start with what you have. Start with what you know. Start with $50 a month if that's all that's available right now. The habit is worth infinitely more than the amount. Because habits compound just like money does, and every day you delay starting is a day you delay the entire chain reaction that follows. This is the behavior that the modern economy is most perfectly designed to encourage, and it is one of the clearest predictors of long-term financial stagnation. The pattern of purely consuming, buying, watching, subscribing, eating, spending, without ever creating anything that generates value back. Consumers spend money. Creators make money. And the gap between those two positions is not about talent or privilege. It is about orientation. Every person reading this has some skill, some knowledge, some experience, or some perspective that has value to someone else. The question is whether you are using any part of your time and energy to convert that value into income, or whether every waking hour is spent consuming the creations of others, while wondering why your financial position never improves. This doesn't mean everyone needs to start a business or become an entrepreneur. But it does mean asking yourself, is there any way I am currently using my skills to generate income beyond my primary job? Is there any asset I could build, even slowly, even imperfectly, that could eventually generate returns without requiring my time every single hour? The shift from pure consumer to part-time creator is one of the most financially transformative moves a person can make. It changes not just your income potential, but your entire relationship with money, value, and what is actually possible for you. If you look at every behavior we've covered today, there is one thread running through all of them. Every single one of these patterns is a form of short-term thinking winning over long-term vision. Spending before saving, short-term comfort over long-term security. Avoiding financial discomfort, short-term emotional relief over long-term clarity. Lifestyle inflation, short-term enjoyment over long-term freedom. Emotional decision-making, short-term feeling over long-term outcome. The wrong social environment, short-term belonging over long-term growth. No financial goals, short-term default over long-term direction. Confusing income with wealth, short-term appearance over long-term reality. Waiting for the perfect moment, short-term hesitation over long-term compounding. Consuming without creating, short-term ease over long-term leverage. Every single one. The fundamental skill that separates people who build financial freedom from people who stay financially stuck is the ability to make decisions today based on what they want their life to look like in 5, 10, and 20 years, not based on what feels best in this moment. That skill is not genetic. It is not reserved for people with high IQs or elite educations. It is learnable. It is practicable. And it starts with a decision, made right now, to begin seeing every financial choice as a vote for the future you either want or don't want. You just sat through one of the most honest financial conversations most people never have with themselves. And the fact that you're still here tells me something important about you. It tells me you're not looking for comfort. You're looking for change. So here is your next step, and I want to make it as simple as possible. Take out your phone right now, or open a notes app, grab a piece of paper, whatever is closest, and write down the one behavior from this video that you recognize most clearly in yourself. Not the one that applies to other people. The one that applies to you. Because awareness without specificity is just entertainment. The moment you name the behavior that is keeping you stuck, you give yourself the ability to address it directly. Write it down. Then write one concrete action you will take this week, not this month, not someday, this week, to begin changing it. Share it in the comments if you're willing. Because there is real power in public commitment, and your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to see to take their own first step. If this video gave you genuine value, please hit the like button. It helps more people find this content who actually need it. Subscribe if you want to keep building your financial intelligence in a way that is honest, practical, and actually changes how you behave with money. And remember this as you move forward. Staying poor is not your destiny. It is a direction. And directions can always be changed. See you in the next video.